Welcome back to Transdemic, one of the most brilliant, brand new, trans-based podcasts in the world. My goodness, thanks for coming back. It was a long week since we last spoke with Celine. Great to have a non-binary perspective last week, and this week it's right back to the basic fundamentals with me and Bentley. And we just have a discussion about catching up on trans issues that have happened in the past week since we last talked, and we answer a listener question. We keep it short and sweet, and we hope that we can get you through a drive or some bullshit in your life for the day. Take a listen, enjoy yourself. I'm gonna get this started right now.
Yeah, it's mostly the intro and the outro with a little
thing in the middle.
Yeah.
So there's not much. We'll just quickly. I'll just go through a little bit through the week. Some of the things that I saw with the in the quote unquote trans gender community, or not. It's not the community, but in media, social media, all the shit over the week. Yeah. I think it's a lot of the same stuff, but the problem is that again, it's there was another. There's been a lot of reports again of just a high rate of trans murders again. I don't know if you've noticed this the last week. I think there was 2 or 3 within, again, a 3 or 4 day window.
Yeah, it doesn't fucking make any sense to me. And how it gets very little media. You have to search for this info. It's not in the media.
Yeah, I think it's because there's 2 reasons. Well, obviously it's the trans thing. And there's probably more because they're dead naming people. We don't know necessarily all the time if it's a trans person for a while after, unless people confirm it. Yeah. And then it's also cultural / the societal stigma of what I'm learning when I'm reading a lot of these stories is that in most of these instances where there are murders, they're usually of black trans women and usually black trans sex workers. Which is interesting, which makes sense though, right? Because people are really kind of looking for outlets and trying to, I'm sure, solicit more sex than ever right now, kind of under the table. And black trans women are in a position where sometimes that's what they have to do to survive, and then situations happen like this. So I think that's a large part of it. And you don't want to talk about it or you want to talk about it, but people don't because. In the trans, there's that, we're not trying to stigmatize it. It has nothing to do with the sex work. That's totally fine. It's just, It just happens to be that's the demographic that seems to be getting it, obviously, almost exclusively, if you look at it.
Yeah, no, I've noticed a pattern with that too, and it's such a shame because there's nothing, in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with sex working at all to do it. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like this huge taboo like a lot of people talk about it, but I think people see it as the problem with the sex worker, but really it's the problem with the people seeking the service and not understanding what that takes, or I don't know if are they confused if the woman is trans, or how does that even happen to the point where they're getting murdered? Because if someone's paying for sex, you would think they would know what's going on.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't. Yeah, because it's we're well past. If you're soliciting, the only way I could see it is they don't. I don't know, because you're gonna know if someone's trans once you get into the act, and most likely you're probably seeking out a particular person or type of person.
Yeah.
So I don't know about the surprise aspect is odd, and I would think that. I don't know. I'll look into seeing if we can find some specifically black trans women that might be involved in sex work that'd be willing to talk about it, because they would have the best perspective on it.
Yeah, I would love to hear from someone because it just how is it? Basically, I'm wondering how it's these people just trying to do the normal sex work thing, and then there's just this pool of evil that somehow attaches and destroys it. I want to know where that's coming from.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. Especially, I guess we kind of look at the well of where that comes from. Just go to social media and look at the Go look at any trans positive post and go look at like the comments.
Yeah.
It's like this. Well, it's like overwhelming all the time still of negative, really just horrible things that are being said. And actually, that was the next thing. Was I was Dwayne Wade has a trans kid, and took a cool stance about it. And I really think that it's about what's more important, and what's really important right now these days is like it sounds weird, but like cis people, cis black dudes, and particularly speaking out and act and on trans women's behalf, trans people's behalf, and like normalizing it is huge. That's going to do way more work than trans women can do, than I can do. Like I think that's really like a huge deal.
Yeah, I feel like cis people can do more than anybody else, because no matter what, like if someone like trans posts, even like on my Twitter and stuff, I post a lot of like trans related stuff on my Twitter, but like people will be like, well, you're still a girl and stuff like that. What part of your day, like what are you doing with your life that you have time to like go on Twitter and see? I don't even have that many followers. I just started Twitter like last month or 2 months ago, sometime in quarantine, just because I'm bored. I'm like, I have like 10 followers maybe. I'm like, what made you go online today and like find my Twitter tweet thing and like have to comment on that? And it's weird because like the people that comment on that almost have like some obsession with trans people, because they feel like they need to continuously say that when nobody is fighting the biology side. We all know like what we are biologically. Like no one's fighting. That's kind of the point of being trans, is that you don't match that. So it's like I don't get what their obsession with going on and like stating that over and over even does.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Like, and they can't get past. They just can't get past it. And then they're always leaning. A lot of those comments lean to such just nasty shit. Like I don't. It's so steeped in like. It's so sexualized, and it's so like overt, over the top, like acting like it's some vile and disgusting like downfall of humanity type of shit to be trans.
Yeah, it gets really ugly, like real quick.
And then the next step is, then people start pointing to religion and all these fucking things to justify.
Yeah,
and then people feel empowered by that.
Yeah, stuff that's not even in the Bible or whatever religion. Like it's things they're like just making up, just like the whole gay thing. Like there's nothing in the Bible about that.
Yeah, no, there isn't. And I don't know. I don't. If we knew what that well was, even then, I don't know. I don't understand. I don't know how to fix. I don't know how to fix that part, other than to have these conversations and hopefully help out some other people and inspire people to just keep being who they are. And I think the more that they see people, I think that's a huge deal. To see trans people in the community just acting like we do, like normal people.
Totally.
Yeah,
and I think a big thing too, which is wild to me because I know personally, I think I know like over 20 trans people, and I didn't go out of my way to meet any of them. I met them at shows and stuff. I wasn't like looking online for like trans people to be friends with, they were just like natural friendships. Yeah. So to know that there's so many people that have never even met a trans person, let alone be a friend with them, I feel like pretty much all of them would do that. The conservative card is like, well, like gay is bad, but my son's gay, so I'll love my son, but like no other gays, like that's bad. So I feel like if they were friends with a trans person, they would like slowly kind of grasp that we're just normal people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I would hope that that's what they would grasp. I was it comes at a price, I guess, though. Having to be out there, and there's a lot of days where it's like it's just hard. It's just every day you got to be on in some capacity to like just deal with people shit. And there's a lot of things I don't try to deal with anymore, because like we had mentioned a couple weeks back about working in places as a trans person and trying to get respected. There was a house, I think I'd mentioned, about people that had that awkward situation where I was trying to get people to respect who I was, and
oh yeah,
and then I finally went back, then I have all that anxiety, because once that happens and you go back to that place, of course you're going to be anxious about it, because now it's a fucking thing.
Oh yeah.
So it was just and then it was just the same thing. It was like just an hour or however long I was there. I cut it short, like of just misgendering and having to just sit through it. And then I was just like, I'm done. Like, I was just like, I'm not coming back. So I'm just not going to go back to that house anymore.
Good. Yeah, you shouldn't have to go through that.
No, yeah. And I shouldn't have to say anything else, you know? Like, I'm leaving. Like, I don't have to explain why. I'm just like, it's just hard. Like, I'm trying my best, you know, and to navigate and be okay. And it's weird. Like, I feel bad about feeling bad about that shit. I feel like I should be able to get over it. I feel like I should be able to find it within myself to be okay and just be like, oh, those people are ignorant, and just like not care.
Yeah, but it's harder than that because it like hits your emotions and like raises your stress levels, and it's almost like, at least for me, it's like just fighting for them to understand, but it's putting such a toll on your own mental health that it's like near impossible with how ignorant people can be.
Yeah, well, yeah, completely. And then, yeah, and it's just like, it reminds you of, it just puts you in a weird place of like, if I didn't have to deal with people, it'd be like, oh, goddamn, I feel great, confident. But you go out there and then, you know, it's like they're playing on like your biggest insecurities, very personal, and they don't even know, you know. It's not like they have an awareness. They have an awareness, I believe, at some point once you've told them, and then they're just being, I don't know. That's the weirdest part, is people that you've told and that are nice in every other way, but just can't get over this one thing.
Yeah, no, it's weird. I feel that, and it's going to be weird when I go back to work too, because so I've been working at the Rhythm Room for like 5.5 years, and I started testosterone in December, so I'd been on it for a few months until we had to close because of the pandemic. But
yeah, and
like everyone I worked with knows, and they're fine. Like everyone there is pretty okay.
Yeah.
But like we have so many regulars, and a lot of the regulars right now aren't passing the vibe check on Facebook as far as like the politics and everything going on right now. So it's going to be interesting because my voice hadn't really dropped that much, even though I had changed my name and I was wearing a name tag and stuff. But they've known me for so long, so it's going to be interesting whenever I can go back to work to see how that goes, or if I can even continue to serve tables and stuff. Like, I have no idea what it's going to be like, because I've had some of the same regulars for 5 years, and a lot of them are like snowbirds or like the older peeps, you know what I mean? So it's going to be,
yeah.
Really,
are you feeling, is the anxiety already bubbling up?
Yeah, I already had it when I was first there, and even knowing, I feel like it might be easier for me now, because I don't have to deal with as much misgendering and everything, because I'm assuming by the time I can go back to work, I will be pretty passable.
Yeah.
So at least I have that, and then I feel like it's going to be more confusing for them, but less stress for me, because I didn't have to be there every week when I'm doing my T-shot and like the slow transition, and then people still, I'd be like, no, I'm trans, like please call me he, and then they would still just like slip up or be like, hey girl, and stuff like that. So
that doesn't even sound right.
Yeah, I know, it's weird, because I've never even been girl, like since 5th grade I haven't been girly, so it's just like, where's this
yeah
going? But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see, like, we'll talk about it on here, but that's the one thing I'm kind of anxious to go back to, just see how that goes. I have no idea. Like, I hope my tips don't get affected, and like there's so many weird things, you know, because I've worked for tips there for the most part, besides booking and stuff, but
when you pass, there's got to be a different level of a different kind of anxiety, right? Than like being like openly trans, I guess. Like, do you have I guess you experience all sorts, because it's weird, because I guess this is for a lot of trans people, but in some circumstances or instances you quote unquote pass, and others you might not. Like, yeah. Is that how you feel all the time? Like, always just like, I don't know if I'm passing? Or, because you just said like pretty confidently you feel like you will pass. And then is there a different kind of like anxiety that goes with kind of thinking or knowing that you pass?
Yeah, like anytime I do pass in public, I mean, I'm not going out in public very much right now because of the pandemic, but like when I go to the store or something, like even just being called sir, then there's like the euphoria of being called the right thing, but then it's like, oh my god, what if they see my hips, or something, or like I'm always binding when I go out, but it's still not like completely as flat as it would be after surgery and stuff. But it's just like, what if they notice like my ass is like bigger than like a normal dude, or like my hips or whatever, and then they apologize? Because before my voice dropped, I always got the sir and then the apology. So I think
I hate that.
Yeah, so now I'm still feeling am I gonna get the apology like any second? And then I try and just get out of there and like try to act like overly masculine, like more than I would normally, just because I'm like, please don't, please don't
punch them, just for no reason, just punch them and act real.
Right? Yo, bro, what's up?
Yeah.
So it depends on the situation, but I still get weird. And then dealing with like, I finally got my insurance card with my change name and stuff, which was taking forever. I finally got it. I ordered it like 7 times, but so then there was the awkwardness of going to the pharmacy and being like, I'm changing my name, but they also have been prescribing me tea for the last 8 months, so they were like, yeah, that's cool. I'm sorry if I slip up because I'm used to your other name and stuff. So it's like the weird conversations you have to have with every company or anything you're connected to change your name. Like that's a whole nother part of that.
It really is. It really is. It's funny because you mentioned that it's like names, pronouns, all that shit's important for people that are in like in our worlds, like that we have relationships with. It's so important for people to. It is like there's an element of truth there when they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna be confused because I'm fucking used to this name." That makes sense. I mean, we all are. Like whenever we have trans friends, whatever, like they have a new name and it's hard to remember it. But if you're conscious of it, it's funny how it changes in your head very quickly. Pronouns too. Like but you have to like be conscious and practice it. I don't think people realize that. Like you can't just be like, oh, it's gonna be hard, and then put it out of your head and just say that fucking thing for a year every time you fuck up. You have to, if you think about it, it's easy. It comes to you like within a week or two.
Yeah, that's how my manager was after months of being out and being on tea. And I did a couple of my tea shots at work because non-pandemic, I'm like never home. So I would go to band practice at a studio and then like go to another practice because I was in this other band and then go to work. So I would do my tea shot at work and stuff. And she would still slip up my name and pronouns always, but the name too. And I'm like, I am wearing a name tag. It's been months. Like it's been months and months. I was out there before I even started hormones. And she was like, well, it's just going to take me a while. I've known you for 5 years. And it's like, no, like you've had a while.
Yeah.
Had a while. And now I'm sounding like a dick, but it's been months. Like, and you're making me look bad. So, yeah, it's frustrating. I think you're lucky that you're just changing the spelling of your name. I think that's going to be good for everybody because you won't have to deal with at least the name part.
I got to take what I can get. That's why I keep telling people. I'm like, I'm not terribly dysphoric about it. I think I was actually going to, on like the legal document, I was going to even change it to Kristen so that when people see it when I'm like fucking doing credit card, like billing and shit and all these things where I have to talk on the phone, I was like, I'm going to take every precaution I can to like not have to deal with bullshit. So I'm going to just do that legally. And then, it doesn't matter. Everybody calls me Kris anyway. So
that is awesome.
But yeah, I'm just trying to own every space I can to the best of my ability and whatever. It's at the same time, whatever. Like that's why I just have to make a shit ton of money and then just live off my own shit, and then I don't have to deal with anybody ever again. I'd rather just not deal with people. Yeah,
it's hard. And even yesterday I had to bring my cat to the vet, but it's all like COVID vet, so you have to like wait in the car, and then they like come and get your animal, and then you're in the car, and everything's over the phone pretty much. And it's very weird because I know as a fact my name was legally changed on everything the first time I took her to this vet, but somehow my dead name was saved in there, and I don't know how, because I know as a fact, like the dates just add up to I know I had my ID and stuff, so I don't know if maybe my credit card wasn't switched over yet or what, but anyways, my cat needed a prescription and it came out in my dead name, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, how? Like, I have no idea how it happened. So yeah, it's just like dealing, like little things like that. I didn't expect that yesterday, and then it's just a ongoing thing of like your name and stuff is like everywhere.
Oh, horrible! Yeah, it's always in your face. It's the worst, especially if you really don't like it.
Yeah,
It's the worst.
yeah.
Gosh, your name, your dead name, it could have been worse.
Yeah, no, it could have been worse.
Wasn't the worst thing. What do you think the worst dead name for you would have been?
I don't know. I lucked out because my dead name is a male name in Mexico. So.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So there's that, but because I used to get made fun of in school. There was this girl named Mariel, and she was Mexican, so she would always make fun of me because she was like, "You have a boy name." So I always think that's funny.
You're like, hell yeah, I do.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I'm just glad. I don't know. Like I think, like I'm just glad my name wasn't like Jessica or something like more. I don't know.
Stereotypically femme.
I'm glad it wasn't like a stereotypical name. I think that's very fortunate. And now that I took Bentley, and then I've wanted the name Bentley since I was 11, and I didn't know it was a car, and I just learned it was a car this year because I live under a giant rock. No, I did not name myself after a car. I
would just say I did. I'd be like, yeah, I like that car. And now
I don't even know what they look like. Still, I haven't looked it up. I don't know. I just like
they're big ass SUVs, aren't they? I'm gonna look it up.
I thought they were like a sports car or some shit. I guess I'll look it up for the sake of the podcast.
Are they sports cars?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I think they're all sorts of cars, like all sorts of different kind of cars.
Let's see here.
They're nice though.
Yeah, that's what I've been made fun of for that too.
I'm looking them up. There's all sorts of them.
Yeah. Wow. Not too shabby, huh?
No, you're a high class car.
That's funny. Yeah, I didn't know. I just have always liked the name. I just thought it was like cute. I stand by it still.
As you should.
Yeah, I'm not paying for that shit again. Oh my god.
Well, this brings us to the one question that we did have, and this was before the last episode, but we had a guest, so we and it's not like I think we've answered kind of. This person just wanted to know. Let me get the right exact question because that's important. People want it answered the correct way.
Yeah.
Let's see where are we at? All right. So here's this. The question was. I can edit. That's awesome. So,
right. Really nice.
What are some things that both of you as trans people, which is always, I mean, that's cool, but I just find that weird to be like a trans person. That's weird. What are some things that both of you as trans people have learned about life that you feel are important to share with others? You got anything?
About life?
Yeah, about life.
That's deep. I would say, I think the thing I've learned is that I'm going to plug Demi Lovato here. I think everyone should listen to that I Love Me Demi Lovato song. I think that is just a great message, regardless how you feel about her. She's also killing it in the Black Lives Matter movement right now and all that stuff, so I think she's great. But I think the best thing I've learned about life is literally nobody can be there for me as much as I can be there for me. And you need to have a relationship with yourself that includes like solely you, and realize that like you can have a relationship with yourself, because I didn't understand that for a long time. Mm-hmm. And you need to take everything, like not even just being trans, like any situation you're in, you need to think about how it's going to affect you and what is the best outcome for you, because at the end of the day, all you have is yourself.
Yeah.
What about you?
How much of that do you think was informed by being trans?
Pretty much all of it. Also, just like growing up, but that's all. What I just said, I learned in like the last year, and some of that might be from going to therapy, which I still do. But I really didn't. I was always trying to please others and please my parents and please the internet, everything like. And I just realized like none of that matters, because at the end of the day, I have myself, and I need to be happy with me. And nothing else, no matter what anyone else thinks about me, that's none of my business, and none of that matters. Like, it matters that I love myself and that I can be there for myself and take care of myself.
Yeah, I think that's huge. I think it's great that you've learned that. And you're learning things at a much younger clip than probably I did. I always forget how much younger you are. It's not like you're astronomically younger than me, but you are definitely younger. Um, but I mean, it's a tough question because when it comes to just if we think about the experience that we as trans people that I think is really profound about life is really important, and I wish more people could see this, is that all of us together, humans, are very much just the same thing. We divide and put these divisions on one another based on like bullshit, like on just a bunch of whether it's biology or whatever it is, like, and it creates these horrible toxic relationships with each other to think that, you know, us as human beings, if men and women are these, you know, these different creatures and entities, and we stuff all these things into boxes, and then we fucking have toxic masculinity and these like internalized all this shit, misogyny, internalized misogyny, all this shit. And as a trans person, you get to see like how problematic all of that is, and like how breaking out of those stereotypes really can help you develop to be like a superhuman, like a person that is capable of having all of these sides to them, when a lot of it has to do with compassion and honesty and authenticity. And that speaks to like the relationship with yourself that you're talking about. If you can be, when you're trans, like you're forced at some point in your life to have that relationship with yourself and be honest with yourself. And if you can be honest with yourself, it's easy to be honest with everybody and authentic with everybody. And then you also see that all the shit that we put on men, women, these divisions is just a lot of like bullshit. Like this, we're all made of the same thing, and hormones just affect our bodies differently and made us have different things, and may make a mind. It's funny because it's like, oh, it makes your mind work, or women work this way. It's like, everybody knows guys that act like quote unquote women and women that act like guys, and no in between. Like it's all bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I think that that's valuable. Like I think in that, and then you can really like connect with everyone. Like you can really understand what people's motivations are, and I think that that's been like one of the cooler aspects of being trans, is like just having that awareness. And it's also like troubling, and there's the part where it's hard to deal with because you have the dysphoria and stuff. But really, that's all just shit we have to work on ourselves anyway. Like that's what I'm trying to work on. It's like there's another layer to this, like of transcendence, like spiritually and mentally, of being trans, of like there's a way to be okay with who you are right now, regardless of what your parts are. I really truly believe like you can not train, but like master some mindfulness with that. And I think that's important too, especially for people that can't always do hormone treatment and all that shit. So I don't know. I think that for me, that's really what it's taught me, or what I've learned and like utilize in life with the trans experience.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I feel like so many stereotypes. I'm hoping like Gen Z is doing a great job, and I feel like the next generation will do even better with like breaking stereotypes and stuff. Because like what you said about how we're taught that like men and women think so differently, but that's not true. It's almost like giving an excuse to men to be like giant assholes and stuff, when that's not like that's not something. Even like the whole testosterone thing, like everybody, like it's proven to not be true, but everybody's like, well, you're going to start testosterone as a trans man and become angry and like not be able to control yourself, and that is not true at all. There's a couple people I've seen, and I've watched like every trans dude on YouTube and stuff like that, and there's a few I've seen that said like they might have had some anger issues at the beginning and stuff, but for the most part, like that's not a real thing.
Yeah.
And we're just taught that like men are like supposed to be tough and angry, and that's okay and stuff. And it's like I haven't been angry like at all since I started T. If anything, it was the opposite because of dysphoria. I was angry like pre-T.
Yeah, and that's just a small example of like, and that's what's cool is like the revelations you have as a trans person. Like, holy shit, that's not true. Or of like these things that are like staples in society, and like you realize it's all bullshit, and it's very liberating to feel.
Yeah,
that.
No,
that's great. So you're not punching walls and I don't know what else trans dudes do. Punching walls and being angry and like yelling at everybody.
No, not at all.
Is that what happens?
Not at all. And it's funny because I know my ex-girlfriend said she knew and met a trans dude that said he needed to buy a punching bag and all this stuff because everybody was angry after taking testosterone. So at the time when we were dating, she was like, we need to buy you a punching bag and all this stuff. And I was like, I was kind of like scared about it. Cause I was like, am I going to need this like to get anger out? But as long as I haven't been angry at all, but also I have more energy and stuff. So I exercise and everything to like deal with energy, but it's not negative energy. And I'm wondering like people that say that like the punching bag thing, if they do that because that's what they were taught and they think they need to.
Possibly you saw where that well goes with. I mean, yeah. So it's not surprising that certain people would say something like that, and then you see themselves to reveal that there's a lot of other problematic ways they think of trans people.
Yeah.
So that's what happens, right? Like you start to see things from people that they kind of reveal in these small ways, and then you're like, holy shit, you got a lot more fucked up shit, and it all goes back to bring this back to that well of shit in those comments, in the negative comments online, and like that popular seemingly dominant narrative. It's so fucking out of control how many people have shit wrong, much less the nuanced stuff that we're talking about. I mean, we're totally in the minority when it comes to like being able to have a conversation like this about gender and all that stuff.
Yeah, and
even amongst trans people.
It sucks the media blows up the things like the trans woman in GameStop screaming at the GameStop worker. You know that was a couple years ago. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Exactly.
This is so great.
That's the kind of stuff that gets blown up, and that's what everybody thinks, and it sucks.
I felt bad watching that.
Yeah,
I feel that frustration and that pain. That's what I mean. Like I'm gonna snap. I could snap like that tomorrow on somebody.
Yeah, exactly. And it sucks because one, the video was short. You don't see what happened before to trigger that. You just see like the explosion, and yeah, like that shouldn't be happening. But just imagine how many times a day she gets misgendered, and it's gonna happen. But yeah, that's what the media sees. It's like the people flipping out and a lot of like just weird, not the normal stuff.
You know about that person in the video, right?
No, I don't.
Her rap name is Serotonin. She's a rapper from Albuquerque and is friends with Lil Lavity.
Oh my God.
And I tried to get her on the podcast after that happened. And we lost touch. I think she's got some stuff. It was like for a minute, everything was going really well. And she was able to like kind of turn that shitstorm into her advantage. Wow. And I think it became I think the fallout was pretty rough. I've talked to her a couple times.
Wow.
But yeah, hopefully she's doing okay. But she's a rapper and pretty damn good.
Oh my gosh, we should try and get her on here. That would be so sick.
Yeah, I think we'll be able to maybe through Lavity. Serotonin, if you're listening, come on down to the Transdemic podcast. Hope you're doing okay. Just an interesting story there. A couple of interesting stories we had in that short conversation. We'll see you next week here on Transdemic.